Strange facts you never knew. In South America, we've all heard about ancient civilizations like the Maya and the Aztecs. But there's another mysterious civilization that predates them called the Olmecs. Archaeologists have discovered a rare artifact belonging to the Olmecs that reveals a clue about the true origins of human civilization. It's a sculpture of a creation deity holding a peculiar bag. This bag is believed to be associated with the Anunnaki, a group of beings from another ancient civilization, the Sumerians. According to Sumerian descriptions, the Anunnaki came from the skies, bringing civilization and technology to their people. But the mystery deepens. This bag appears in another carving at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, an archaeological site dating back over 11,000 years. What's even more intriguing is that various civilizations throughout history, in different geographical locations, worship deities from the sky who held this same bag. So, the question arises, could it be that during the dawn of civilization, extraterrestrial entities visited Earth, imparting knowledge and technology? Did they carry this bag as a symbol of their power? Unbelievable, but true stories do exist. Witness the incredible tale of a 70-year-old Brazilian fisherman and his bond with a penguin named Jin Jin. While strolling on a beach, the fisherman found a motionless penguin covered in oil on the brink of survival. With compassion, he took Jin Jin home, nursed it back to health, and fed it fish daily. Jin Jin recovered and was set free on an island. To everyone's surprise, Jin Jin returned the same evening, seeking companionship. For 11 months, they became inseparable companions. One day, Jin Jin vanished, leaving the fisherman heartbroken. Months later, Jin Jin's familiar call brought joy as it returned to the old man. Incredibly, every year, Jin Jin travels over 8,000 miles to visit its elderly friend. True friendships transcend distance and time. Subscribe for more heartwarming tales and inspiring stories. Nikola Tesla's fascination with the number 369 is indeed intriguing. He once said, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe." Tesla believed that understanding the mystical properties of these numbers would unlock the secrets of the universe. To comprehend this, we need to recognize that humans did not create mathematics. We discovered it, as it is the language of the universe, the very law governing its operations. Tesla made some interesting observations about the doubling of numbers. For instance, doubling 1 gives 2, doubling 2 gives 4, doubling 4 gives 8, and so on. If we keep doubling numbers, we notice that the digits in the resulting numbers eventually reduce to 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5, repeatedly, without the appearance of 3, 6, or 9. Furthermore, when doubling 3, we get 6, and when doubling 6, we get 12. The sum of the digits in 12 is 3, which is part of the cycle mentioned above. Tesla considered these patterns to be fundamental and found that 3, 6, and 9 were the most important numbers in this system. He viewed them as higher dimensional entities that dominated the three-dimensional world we inhabit. This is one of the 10 most famous imaginary experiments in the history of the trolley problem. Suppose a train is out of control on the railway, heading towards 5 innocent people tied to the tracks. Next to you, there is a lever, and if you pull it, you can switch the train to another track, saving these 5 people. But on that other track, there is also one innocent person tied up, and there's an urgent situation requiring you to decide whether to save 5 people or just 1. In reality, when considering this question from the perspective of utilitarianism, most people believe that sacrificing 1 life to save 5 lives is the best choice. However, have you ever considered the value of human life in comparison? From an ethical standpoint, even in an emergency, some argue that they cannot sacrifice 1 person to save others, especially if the person facing death is someone they know. This dilemma essentially forces us to simultaneously save and kill someone, and the trolley problem is a fundamental issue that helps us recognize the difference between actively killing someone and letting others die. So, if the responsibility of operating this life-saving lever were in your hands, what would you do? Strange facts that you never knew. Have you ever experienced a moment or witnessed a scene that made you feel like you have heard or experienced it before, one or multiple times? This phenomenon is known as Deja Vu, a French term meaning already seen. The theory of the universe proposes that when you encounter such a déjà vu, you are at the exact location and moment that is extremely significant because you have dreamed of that scene before and your subconscious mind has recorded it. So, when it becomes a reality before your eyes, your subconscious signals to you that you have witnessed this moment before. This is the point of intersection between parallel realities where they coexist, and this inadvertently explains the mystery of those who claim they can dream about their own future. Therefore, your dreams are not merely coincidental. They are glimpses of the various parallel existences that you currently inhabit. The bizarre truth you never knew. Imagine what would happen if we lost our awareness of time. To answer this question, explorer Christian Klott conducted an experiment called Deep Time. In this experiment, he and 14 other volunteers lived in a cave for 40 days. They had no watches, no phones, no exposure to sunlight, and no communication with the outside world. They had enough food reserves for 40 days but had to fetch water from deep within the cave and use a pedal-powered generator to generate electricity. During their time in the cave, they learned to live together and perform tasks without being conscious of the passage of time. As the experiment neared its end, the explorer noticed that the lack of external cues, such as clocks or sunlight, distorted the participants' perception of time. Even though they spent nearly 40 days in the cave, most members of the group could only recall having slept for about 30 nights. This indicates that time passed very slowly for them. After the experiment concluded, some members expressed that it felt like hitting a pause button on life, and during that period, they had lost the sense of what time was. The bizarre truth you've never known. There was a prehistoric sea monster that preyed on even the giant shark Megalodon. This creature is the colossal sperm whale Livyatan, belonging to the whale family. However, it possessed a set of jaws resembling those of a ferocious dinosaur. Measuring up to 18 meters long, equivalent to a modern-day whale, it had savage hunting skills. Due to its immense size, its main source of food consisted of gigantic sea creatures, including other types of whales. It had massive, sharp teeth measuring up to 3 meters long, 3 times larger than those of a killer whale, with an extraordinarily wide jaw capable of easily swallowing an adult human. Its teeth were a staggering 36 centimeters long, larger than a human leg, making it the largest biting creature in the entire animal kingdom. This monstrous creature lived during the same period as the Megalodon, and it is highly probable that they were archenemies, even preying on each other. A recent discovery could potentially change perceptions about death. Scientists in the United States have recently announced a successful restoration of blood flow and cell function in dead pigs within an hour. First, they induced a heart attack in anesthetized pigs, causing the blood to stop flowing through their bodies. This led to cellular oxygen deprivation, resulting in the death of the mammals. 1 hour after the pig's death, they infused a fluid containing the pig's own blood along with a synthetic form of hemoglobin protein, which transports oxygen in red blood cells, and various cell-protecting drugs. Within the next 6 hours, blood circulation was restored, and many cells, including those in vital organs such as the heart, liver, and kidneys, began functioning again. This experiment reveals that death is a biological process that may still be treatable and potentially reversible several hours after it occurs. Bananas emit radiation, but in reality, bananas emit a minimal amount of radiation due to the presence of the radioisotope potassium-40. This means that if you were to eat 274 bananas in a day and continue to do so for 7 years, you would experience chronic radiation symptoms equivalent to the victims of the Hiroshima event in 1945. If you were to consume 8 million bananas all at once, you could become radioactive, ignoring the effects of overeating. However, the radiation levels in bananas are so minimal that consuming a moderate amount of bananas is not harmful. On the contrary, it can be beneficial as bananas are a good source of fiber, vitamin B6, and potassium, which help regulate blood pressure and maintain muscle function. What would happen if we eradicated the mosquito species? According to estimates by scientists, there are about 7 trillion mosquitoes living in Alaska alone, and billions of mosquitoes scattered all over the world. Every year, 247 million people on Earth are infected with malaria, and the main cause of malaria is mosquitoes. It can be said that mosquitoes and humans are not meant for each other. But what if all mosquitoes disappeared from the Earth? Firstly, if mosquitoes vanished, products designed to repel or kill mosquitoes would no longer be sold, leading to related companies facing closure and employees losing their jobs. Within a month of mosquitoes disappearing, creatures that rely on mosquitoes as a food source, such as dragonflies, would face a significant decrease in their population due to the lack of food. Furthermore, while feeding on plants, mosquitoes spread pollen along the way. Therefore, after a year of eradicating mosquitoes, there would be a considerable reduction in pollination, leading to significant changes in the ecosystem. Overall, the eradication of mosquitoes would have significant ecological consequences, affecting various species and disrupting ecosystems. However, it would also lead to a decline in mosquito-borne diseases and human mortality associated with such diseases. The strange truth that you may have never known. The events you mentioned suggest that global pandemics may not be purely coincidental. Firstly, the Great Plague of Marseille erupted in 1720 in the city of Marseille, France, and spread to neighboring cities, claiming the lives of over 100,000 people. Next, in 1817, a cholera pandemic broke out in India and spread to many other countries, resulting in the loss of 1 to 2 million lives. In 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic, caused by the H1N1 influenza virus, led to the death of 20 to 50 million people, following a similar cycle of approximately 100 years. In 2019, the coronavirus emerged in China and developed into the current global pandemic, with the number of infected cases reaching 193 million. The question is, why does a global pandemic disaster repeat itself every 100 years? Is it just a coincidence? Strange facts that you probably never knew. The next pandemic could potentially originate from the melting ice at the Earth's opposite poles. Recent studies have shown that massive ice sheets hold a plethora of ancient viruses buried deep within the permafrost for thousands of years. However, the current global warming is causing the perpetual ice layers to melt rapidly, inadvertently releasing these ancient viruses into the environment. Some of these strains have the potential to cause rapid and widespread human fatalities. These viruses are entirely new to science, so there are no preventive measures or treatments available for them. What is truly terrifying is that they are called giant viruses due to their immense genetic material content, and scientists are increasingly discovering new ancient virus types at a higher frequency due to the melting caused by climate change. Some of these viruses remain active and can rapidly infect host cells, even after being buried over 305 meters deep underground for over 30,000 years. Giant ancient viruses pose a greater threat than modern-day viruses, as they are more persistent and challenging to treat.